Welcome to the ideaHUB Innovators Podcast, where we spotlight the innovators and changemakers using entrepreneurship to drive impact and uplift communities. I'm your host, Dr. Letitia Vickery, an educator, researcher, and business strategist passionate about helping entrepreneurs turn vision into reality. In this episode, I'm joined by the incredible Joy Williams, a powerhouse at the intersection of wellness, entrepreneurship, and community leadership. Joy is the Associate Director of Community Engagement at Hofstra University and the founder and CEO of SoulJoy Wellness, a lifestyle brand empowering Black women in mind, body, and soul. With deep roots in service, strategy, and innovation, Joy shares how she's using her platform to address health disparities, uplift entrepreneurs, and build purpose-driven communities. Tune in for an inspiring conversation that you don't want to miss. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. With me today is
Joy Williams
of
SoulJoy Wellness. Well, really from Hofstra University, the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. So, as always, a multifaceted entrepreneur, just wearing multiple hats and doing the wonderful work that you do within our community. Let's first get into how I met you, which is through Hofstra. I've had the pleasure of being your colleague these past few months. Can you talk about some of the work that you're doing at the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship?
Sure. So I am the Associate Director for Community Engagement and Initiatives. And also in that role, I am the director of the Entrepreneurship Assistance Center, which we do a 10-week program that is comprehensive for entrepreneurs who are just at the idea stage or they've launched and they want to grow. So probably between like $0 and $250,000. So those are the entrepreneurs that we try to help. And then we do some supplementary program around that for the EAC program, as we call it for short. So it's been fun since May when I started, getting that up and running and doing the reporting on that for the last season of it and getting people into programming for next cohort, which starts at the end of September.
Awesome. So lots of work to be done. Now, what are the benefits of participating in the EAC program?
I think it gives people a good view of all the different components they need to focus on as an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people have a great idea and then trying to figure out, is this a problem that customers have and are willing to pay for? And then what are the components that you need? Do you have the right ideal client, customer? What should you do for financing? How are you going to market to those people? So they get to put together a whole plan for that. And looking at the business model canvas, which is looking at your business on a piece of paper and saying, how do all the parts interact together? And then the other benefit is then being in a community of like-minded people, which is really challenging for some entrepreneurs to find that because they're the one in their group that's starting a business. So other people who work traditional jobs often find it hard to understand why they want to do that and how to support them.
Yeah. So what a great resource that the EAC is for local groups. Now, talk about the evolution of the EAC. What kinds of clientele have you been able to help? Where is the EAC going to go in the future?
Well, I've helped in my short period of time a more limited number of people. But if we look at the history and some of the EAC clients that I've met, there have been people who have just started with an idea and have grown their business. And then there are people who have developed their business to another level. Of the people, I have Cheryl Muchingazi, I think I've spelled her name right, who she has a wellness business that she started and it grew, and now she has an actual facility for that business. So there are a variety of people that have grown their business, and they keep coming back. And the goal is also, as alumni, to develop more programming for people for the next stage. So there are a good number of people that have gone through the program and that need that next step to be guided through. Because a lot of people think entrepreneurs have it all together by themselves, and they don't. A lot of people need the same things other people need: accountability and community, and then more information. So that's what we're providing.
Okay, awesome. Now, let's switch to one of your other hats, right? As an entrepreneur yourself, talk about your current businesses and the impact that you hope to make with those businesses.
Sure. So my business is SoulJoy Wellness. So while the business has my name in it, I didn't come up with that name. Some friends did as a marketing exercise. And really, I started it because when I was 23, I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, which for people who don't know is an irregular heartbeat. And typically people first get that and they're over 60. And clearly I wasn't at the time, and I'm still not. So because I was diagnosed with that, I went to a lot of different wellness events and health fairs and learned about all the health disparities that Black folks in the United States have, and wanted to try to figure out how to solve that problem. So I've been doing that over time, and this iteration of the business, we do things that will help you live your best life on purpose with faith, fitness, and fun. So depending on the clientele, if it is a corporate client, the community, or an individual client is what the programming is for. So I have some events that I do myself, which there's a 5K called Run, Walk, Praise.
Run, Walk, Praise. She actually got me to commit to running, walking, and praising. I don't know so much about the running, but
you can run a little. And then Self-Care Saturday. So one of the things, like most people know that they should eat well and they should exercise, but yet most people aren't doing it as much as they should. So just preaching at them is not a good way to go. It's trying to reach that client and think what will work. And really the Self-Care Saturday works for people. And it's on Saturday because, again, I do with a lot of faith community and Christian faith community who's in church on Sunday. So the Saturday works for them. And my 5K is on Saturday. And a lot of 5Ks are on Sunday if you're familiar with the racing schedule. So this is a good introduction for them. And people have enjoyed it. And I didn't really even call it Self-Care Saturday at first. I had it bold, beautiful, something. I forgot what I called it. But everyone else kept referring to it as Self-Care Saturday. So I listened to my client and changed the name of it.
Awesome. So that's that quick feedback from the market already helping to reform how you approach them with your business. Now, before we move on, Run, Walk, Praise is coming up, right?
Yes, it is October the 12th at Baldwin Harbor Park. So all the way down Grand Avenue, keep going, and you'll run into the park, and you can still register. So please do.
Okay. And a special website or?
Well, it's on the Elite Feats website. You can they're the managers of it, but if you go to my social media, you can find it anywhere.
Okay, so we'll get more of that information towards the end of the podcast. Now, you love putting together these focused events for your clients, but I understand that you also do some consulting work too. Tell me about some of the ways that you're able to leverage your skills from other areas, other paths you have developed to also contribute to the businesses of our local economy.
Yeah, so I started consulting or coaching people in general really a long time ago. Actually, I was hired at Columbia Business School at an event in the bathroom. So
this sounds like a good elevator pitch story, right?
Yeah. So I saw the person who runs the Career Management Center in the bathroom at the annual event, the annual dinner for the school, and she was talking about they were launching a program and that I'd be a good coach. So literally she offered me the job in the bathroom of the Waldorf Astoria. So I've been coaching since 2008, so a really long time ago. And then I've had other clients, some from some of my past jobs at ESPN, and then some people because I think I like to tell people things anyway. People have overheard that I've been coaching people, and my last client, she just started as a CEO at HQFC, which is a fairly qualified health center. So I coached her. So a variety of things, and I do have some business clients that I've coached and helping them grow their business.
So all about pouring into others and using the talents that you have to pour into others. That's a beautiful mission, beautiful life purpose.
Yeah, it is. I think a long time ago, when trying to think of what my elevator pitch would be, it is helping people depending on what thing I was doing. So when I was in media before, it was helping to tell stories about women and people of color. And then on the business side, it basically is the same thing, not stories, but helping them grow their businesses.
So just a bit of a tweak, a transformation, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about when you were in media, right? Because as we know, most entrepreneurial journeys are not linear paths, right? And so let's go back a little bit, right? How did you get into media and how did we get here?
So I had always been very creative and analytical at the same time. So going really back into high school and things, I was in the drama clubs, theater, took dance and all those things. And in college, I was an economics major and went to a sort of a traditional route. So I was working at the Federal Reserve Bank and in the public information department. So that's a little media there. And then while I was there, they paid for my master's in media studies. And then I left from there to go to MTV.
But let's pause, right? Federal Reserve, little bit of information systems. A lot of times when people, and this is for the students who are transitioning through college, thinking about starting their own entrepreneurial journey, but sometimes they get sucked up working at these larger organizations. How did you know that wasn't a right path for you?
Well, I knew that I always wanted to do something else, but figured I needed to learn some things. And then I remember talking to someone in an elevator who was talking about a job that he didn't like, but he was going to stay at until his kids got older. So thinking I didn't want to get caught at that spot. And at this point, it's just me. I still lived at home. I did pay my parents' rent, but not real rent. So it's how to figure out how to navigate to something else. And I knew that I was interested in media. And then working on my first master's degree in media was the way for me to learn more and then reach out to get internships in that space too.
All right, awesome. So now you're transitioning into the media role. What are some of the skills that you developed in that space that stay with you now or that become super useful to you as an entrepreneur whose purpose is to pour into others, help businesses, give back to the healthcare side of your mission?
Yeah. So I think one of the things from the media space is to see a big picture and know that there are all these different pieces that go into it and that it's not going to look exactly like it looks in your head. Because I think sometimes that stops people because it's not exactly the way it looks and it could actually be better. So saying I'm going to pull all these pieces together, and that's what producing to me is pulling all these pieces together and making a deadline. So, it's a deadline for air, or if it's live, it's a deadline because it is really going to start then. So it makes it a little less stressful. And then you have to be ready for something to go differently than you anticipated and not think of it as a tragedy.
So something goes differently than you anticipated. Let's go to a specific story in your life, right? You're still in the media space. You finally get to this place in your journey of opportunities where you can submit a pilot, I think you were telling me. Tell us about that story.
I had been at ESPN for probably 6 years at this point, and then NBC was merging with Comcast. So Comcast basically bought NBC. And then in that process, they committed themselves to launching 10 networks. And the first 4 were 2 African-American networks and 2 Latino networks. So I gathered a group of people together and we came up with a whole network, including pilots in there and a whole network possibility, and pitched it to them and was hopeful that they would take it and launch. But they didn't. They chose P. Diddy, who was more glamorous at the time, and Magic Johnson. So But they did talk to us afterwards. So that was an interesting process. We learned a lot through the process. And one of the things that we learned, but we already knew, we didn't really have the financing behind us that the other two had, besides the celebrity that they had.
I think that's such an interesting space to be in, and it can often be disheartening when you feel like you're on the cusp of your dream, and if only you could get this one opportunity to open a door, if someone would just believe in you and what you were able to put together, right? And we hear that story so often from entrepreneurs. I put it together as best I could. They didn't believe in what I had, or they thought that what I had was not enough. How do you not let, those closed doors discourage you such that you stop the journey? What do you do instead?
I think it can be really frustrating. So one, acknowledge that it's frustrating, and then have people that you can be supported by and that they can acknowledge that it's frustrating. So that as a person of faith as well, because people from faith will always tell you, oh, it's not that bad, it's whatever. But to acknowledge that it's frustrating and then say, how are you going to use your faith to say that this is going to be a good experience? And some of that is to go back to the things that you've done before and to know that you can still find something successful and that this is a learning thing for the next part. It is a setup for a comeback maybe, or to realize you need to change something, and that if you're really going to pursue that, it is really spending time doing fundraising, and really, which is a different thing than building it up, right? So you really have to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to move it forward.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned fundraising. But that's a hard one, right? That's a hard one. That's one of those mountains that someone just jumping into entrepreneurship, it's probably one of the things that causes the most fear, or the wall blocks, right? How did you overcome the fundraising piece of your journey?
Yeah, I think that it is challenging, and I for sure haven't done it perfectly. I have gotten some money through grants, some through sponsorships, some through partnerships, and a little through credit cards and other financing. And if I were doing anything differently, I probably would have done it I would have done the financing part definitely differently, and gotten more information about all the different products that were out there and pitched to people differently, and recognized that I'd have to go through a lot of no's to get yeses. And then when I was at the jobs and had a steady income and had other things, I would have gotten more credit and more other ways of getting money at the time. But since that didn't happen, it's like, okay, how can you cobble it together? And then I have been successful recently too as getting grants. So the grant, during COVID, there were some grants that people gave for just like you breathing well. But really, that's not usually what grants are for and how you get them. So it's really figuring out how to write a grant, figuring out who to partner with. And I think that's the other opportunity is we need to do more partnering with people to get those. And even when people are MWBEs, they most likely will be a subcontractor, and that's the minority and women business enterprises. They'll probably be a subcontractor before they'll be a prime. So in doing that is partnering as well. So it is pitching, but differently, and making those partnerships.
Yeah. And the more you partner and collaborate and put yourself out there, the more you're likely to actually get to that door that will finally open, and you finally get that opportunity that allows you to rise another level. Right?
Definitely. And people can't help you when they don't know that you need help. You haven't asked them for help, and they don't know what you're doing. So it is being in those situations. And that's one of the things about the EAC program. So it puts people together, and they can talk about what they need, and they can ask questions about those things, and then help one another, and then also partner with one another because they have complementary things going on, and then they can help one another make those things happen.
Awesome. And, a colloquial phrase that always resounds in my head is closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes.
Right? So the more we ask, the more we say, hey, this is the help I need. I'm looking for help. And this is the kind of help I need, right? That was part of the conversation we were having the other day, right? So how's that, being able to ask for help, how has that been a part of your journey?
Yeah, and so even biblically, it's you don't have because you don't ask. So I think one of the things, it's challenging sometimes when you think that you're supposed to be really self-sufficient, and then I have to remind myself that I need to ask, and then figuring out who to ask. Because sometimes you're uncomfortable asking some people, and you have to ask yourself first, like, why is that? Because there are some people that aren't really trying to be helpful. So you need a little wisdom and discernment on that, and to figure out who the people are to be helpful, and how you can partner with the right people, ask the things. So it's not always easy. And sometimes I'm reluctant to call people, and then like, okay, let me call. Or even just this morning on working on this project to fill this next class, saying, okay, let me call these people to find out if they're joining or not. I would like them to just pay and not talk to me, but but that's not happening. So what am I going to do? And so I was also thinking, okay, what am I holding back on doing for my business that I should be doing? And especially when people start out, they think they need to do all the things. So what of that can I get other people to do? So my sister has her own business, and sometimes she works for me or works with me, and then I will pay her to do some things. Sometimes she volunteers, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, I need some more marketing things done because I have a job and I need this done. Can you do this? So what else can we do? And then eventually build up. So I'll have more people doing other things that I am not the best at or that I don't want to do.
Let's pause and give a plug to your sister's business.
Oh, so her business is Essence of Pishan. So it is, let's see if I get this right, food for the body. So she makes natural body products.
Okay.
And in the Self-Care Saturday, she and her business partner. So my sister's name is Jill Williams, and her business partner is Valerie O'Connor. So they are staples in our Self-Care Saturday. So they talk about the other things that are interesting to people about these body products. So a lot of people came to more natural healthcare products because of their natural hair journey, more Black women. And that wasn't what started it, but once they got into it, they learned more about it. So my sister is a scientist, and her business partner is a project manager. So she has a PhD in microbiology. So, and she used to be an engineer at Pfizer.
So this is just a wonderful family.
Yeah. So she has this science knowledge, and sometimes we'll present together as well. So she'll provide the science, and then they talk about, all the things, the fragrances and the products and the things that could be toxic, and how to figure out how to use better things for you. So, yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So now we know you have this passion for healthcare, right? And really making sure that communities that are normally considered at the fringes of information get the information that they need, and really start taking the time and investing into their health and their health journeys. Talk more about that.
I had always been interested in health, especially since at 23 I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. But after I graduated from Columbia Business School, I don't know, 5 years after maybe, I found that there were 3 different couples that I knew. So at least one of them was a Columbia Business School alum, and they lost their babies. And I participated with one in a walk because she had a stillbirth. And I was talking about the disparities in Black children and mothers, the maternal and infant health disparities. And she didn't know anything about it. So I felt like, this is terrible. She's really highly educated otherwise, but she doesn't know about this. And we assume that the more education you get and the more income you have, and they were not lacking in either area, and these are all 2-parent households, that you have a benefit. And for Black women, that's not the case.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I decided, like, we have to tell people, they need to know, because then they could make more informed decisions. And the healthcare, maternal infant health in the United States is terrible. It's even worse for Black women. So, and 60% of maternal deaths are preventable, which means there's multiple things happening. But one thing that can be helpful is that the women need to know that these things are preventable. They need to find doctors that listen to them. And then we need to have ideas of what should be normal, and how can we advocate for ourselves. So I've been doing a lot of that in the things that I do, and sort of mixing the different careers that I have, because a lot of that information is shared through different forms of media. I'll create videos and other social media posts to share that information, and then create events that we talk about those things.
Awesome. What are some resources that you recommend the audience members tap into to learn more about these topics?
Sure. So there is a lot more available now for Black maternal health than there was. So locally, I'm on the Nassau County Perinatal Services Network. So we provide information and go out. There's what is it? Black Mamas. So there are other Black maternal health, Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry. What is it? Black Health Lives. So Black Health Matters, that's it. Black Health Matters website. And there are a lot of good resources on those things that out there. There's a lot more that's easily findable now than when I first started talking about it years ago. And even in regular media, we can hear more about these things.
Okay. All right. And so it's my understanding that you also have your own podcast.
I do. It is Road to SoulJoy Wellness. So I co-host it with a friend that we've been friends forever, it feels like. So she lives in Florida. I live in New York. She is married and has 2 kids, and I'm still single. And she's a social worker, so it's a coach and a therapist.
Okay.
But we tackle different questions about wellness, and sometimes we have guests, and a lot of times it's just us talking about a topic.
Okay. Awesome. So check out her podcast, y'all. Now, you are doing so many things, right? You have your full-time job, you have your full-time business, right? You have the consulting work and how you pour in and coaching of individuals and businesses, to name a few. You have organizations that you are members of or on the boards of, right? Now, where do you find balance in this journey? How do you pour back into yourself to make sure that you have enough to keep going?
One, the things I'm doing, I love doing. So mostly it's not as taxing. And then I do other things for myself. So part of my self-care, a lot of times I'll go to the beach and go walking and exercise more. And I love sleeping, so that's helpful. And then to really work on saying no to things that are outside of the list of things that I will do, and to not feel bad when I tell people no. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So you can try to convince me, but that is not happening. And then to sometimes, because someone will say something, it will be flattering, and you're like, okay, I'll do it. Then I'm like, wait a minute, no, I can't do that. So it does seem like a lot because I like a lot of things, but I do try to cut it down and be focused on it. And then there's some things that have to get pushed off into the future. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do that right now. That sounds great.
So being realistic.
Yeah, at least trying to be realistic. And then one, especially in working in my own business, it is finding other people to work along with the team. So sometimes it's interns, sometimes it's people who will do a presentation. Like I said, I do have a grant coming up, and the person who I'm working with a grant, she's like, how can you do it? I'm like, I'm not doing most of this. Other people are doing it. I just wrote it, and this is the idea, and these people are coming in, and to find other people who are passionate about the part that they're doing. Because it's hard if you have to drag the people along. But there's this one guy that I met through a friend who does some workshops for me, and he loves doing them. So I could give him even not a complete idea and say, this is what we need, and he will come up with something. So it's good to work with people in that way. Yeah.
So back to that collaboration and finding the right partners who can push you and have better skill sets than you do in some areas, understanding that you can't do it all, and nor should you do it all, right? So what kind of impact are you hoping to have, right? You are certainly pushing yourself. You're giving across multiple areas. What's the ultimate space or level of impact that you want to be able to look back and say, like, okay, I did it?
Yeah. So that I did improve health education in our community and health outcomes. So that is a goal. which I haven't really put like a SMART goal on it, and maybe I should, but that's definitely a goal. And then to help people grow and leverage their businesses so that they can be more sustainable and that we can have more in our own community that we are figuring out how that we can support one another. Okay. So I'm looking for those impacts.
All right. And you're well on your way to it. And what kinds of partners are you looking for?
Well, one of the things, because I do Self-Care Saturdays and I have a variety of things, so I didn't fully describe it, but it starts with someone giving, and it's been the same person since we started, but it's Reverend Dr. Deborah Wortham starts it off with a meditation. So this is more of a spiritual meditation. And then we have a variety of other things. So sometimes it is a yoga, Christian yoga, then sometimes a demonstration on food. So I'm looking for people that are in the wellness space, and that's a wide variety of things that it could be to present on the Self-Care Saturdays, and looking for other partners who are interested in helping to grow the business and to take more of it from me so that we can help come up with even better marketing strategies and revenue strategies. So
Awesome. And any other upcoming events you want to mention? We talked about your upcoming walk and or run while praising.
Yes. So that is the next thing on the schedule. So Run, Walk, Praise is October the 12th, Saturday, October the 12th. And the race takes off at 9 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, that's the next thing that happens. And the reason I don't have dates on the other things is when you're working on a grant with someone, they're like, don't do anything until the grant is signed. It should have been signed, but it's not signed yet. So as soon as it's signed, well, I'll have some dates for the next things. Okay. But you can always find the information because it is SoulJoy Wellness on just about everything. So you can find us there. Okay.
Now, let's get more into how they can find you, right? So SoulJoy Wellness, can you spell that? If it's a website or your email or?
It is a website. It is Instagram, Facebook, we're TikTok. We're just about everywhere. So it is SoulJoy Wellness, SOUL, SoulJoy, JOY Wellness, WELLNESS. So it's a website. It's all of those things. And, they're always changing because that's what you do, keep adding to it. So yeah, you can find us there. And then if you're looking for me at Hofstra, it's joy.williams@hofstra.edu.
Awesome. Want to thank you for joining us today. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm truly enjoying getting to know all of your work and the commitment you've made to the local communities and how that commitment is coming into fruition. And I'm looking forward to this walk.
Yay!
Run. I'm really excited about the praise.
Yeah.
But thank you again for sharing your story on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It's been fun.
Look forward to having you again, hopefully. All right. Until next time, see you on the next podcast.